Welcome back, Millionaire University. We're nearing the end of our Build My Money Machine module series. If you're just joining us, go back and listen to parts 1 through 3, where we covered business foundations, sales strategies, and the power of leverage. Today, in part 4, we're sharing the journey that Justin and Tara had from traditional business into the digital space, including the creation of Millionaire University itself. You'll learn how they adapted their money machine principles to modern opportunities, the challenges they faced, and how they overcame them. This episode is packed with practical insights about building sustainable online income streams. If you're serious about building your business in 2025, this is a must listen. So let's begin. Class is in session.
So our next business was real estate investing. Now, I could spend multiple hours on every single business we've done, and that's not the purpose, nor is it the purpose to share our entire life story again. You've probably heard it already. But just going through the steps of the money-making machine, step number 1, the business idea, why real estate? I mean, this time, it was like we didn't have any experience in real estate. We knew nothing about real estate. But many years ago, I had read this book called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Since then, I had read Multiple Streams of Income by Robert Allen, or at least I think that was the book I read. But I don't know, I just knew that people could make money with real estate. And I knew a guy that had done some real estate investing that had made money. You got to realize this was before, I think it was before Google, and it was definitely before YouTube and podcasts, and at least in my world. I didn't even know that there were people that taught you how to do this stuff. But I knew I wanted to try something new, and I had a friend that had done it, so I called him up. He told me about a seminar that he was going to. I didn't even know there were seminars. I was like, why would someone teach us how to make millions of dollars? That sounds amazing. So before you know it, Tara and I were on a flight to Atlanta, Georgia, went to the seminar. Our friend didn't even end up going. We signed up for his $10,000 program, bought a bunch of other asset protection program stuff that we absolutely did not need, and we got going. Long story short, we won a car from this guy that we never got. Found out that he actually hadn't been doing the business for at least 6 years, even though he claimed he had. We learned all the wrong, weird ways to invest in real estate, but we connected with just enough of the right people, took enough of the right action, and while it took us 8 months to make any money, it eventually started to happen. Now, it took us a few years to create our money-making machine through our real estate investing company. But we eventually got to the point where we were flipping around 100 houses a year and making a 7-figure net income personal profit. We applied multiple points of leverage into our real estate investing business. The main ones being systems and processes, other people, and money. Looking back, it's interesting at how many different things we tried in real estate. But during this time when we were flipping 100 houses a year, we were buying the majority of our houses in the exact same way, in the general same location, using the same agent, using the same general contractor, using the same color of paint, same counters, floors, carpet. We didn't try to get overly cute. We didn't try to go too far out of our zone of genius. And the times that we did, we often ended up losing money. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm all about taking small, mitigated, managed risks and trying new things out. I believe that you should be doing about 90% of your genius zone, repeating things, and then spend about 10% testing out different things because you want to constantly be moving with the cheese. But it is very interesting that when we made the most money, did the most amount of deals, the least amount of work, I did not see 99% of these houses, is when we were doing the same thing over and over. We were doing less. And by understanding our numbers, by understanding that we were making 50 to 60% annualized, because we were making anywhere from 16 to 22% on the invested capital per house, and each house took us anywhere from 3 to 4 months. We multiplied that number by 3 to 4. We knew that our annualized profit was around 50, 60% plus. So we were easily able to go out and find money partners. At first, we paid someone 50% of the profit. They put up the money. We paid him half the profit. Because we were able to show him our track record, he was very interested in making these kinds of returns. 50% of that would be about 20 to 30% annualized for him. And while it wasn't guaranteed, we did have that track record, and it was a pretty high return on his capital. Later on, we were able to pay hard money and private money lenders closer to 8 to 18% annualized, about 18% for the hard money, 8 to 10% for the private money. So we were able to essentially cut our money costs in half. And then eventually we were able to also leverage some of our own capital. As we started to make more of our own money, we could leverage that as well. So by taking action and then applying leverage, systems and processes, people, and money, we were able to scale this business. So then, while as crazy as it sounds, by applying these different forms of leverage and these systems and processes, we were flipping 100 houses a year, making a 7-figure income, and I was putting in anywhere from 4 to 5 hours per week, which was a lot of fun at first, but I started to get bored, which led us to our next business venture. So step one, business idea. How did we come up with the next business idea? Well, we had experience in real estate investing. I knew I wanted to learn more about marketing and sales and digital or online marketing and sales. I was not a tech genius by any means. I didn't really know a ton about online marketing. I knew online marketing was the way of the future, aka the present, even at that time. And I thought, I'm not as desperate for money. This is a skill that I would like to learn. I am interested in it. And then when it came time to decide what we would teach, what we would talk about, it was pretty obvious. We knew we had a lot of experience in real estate, and we figured that would be the best way to start. Now, if I'm being totally honest, that's not where I wanted to start. Being an ADD entrepreneur, I was kind of burnt out on real estate. I remember in the beginning, I used to love watching the house flipping shows, and you could not pay me to watch one of those shows. I was done. And I really wanted to talk about and teach about what we're doing now, which is general business. It was just so exciting to me to talk about all the different ideas, all the different ways you could make money, all the different things that I was now learning at that time. Speaking of learning, I had recently learned about this thing called podcasting. Now, keep in mind, this was now in the summer of 2013. And so I started listening to these podcasts, and I started learning about all these different business ideas. I was blown away. I could not believe these people were teaching me for free exactly what they were doing in their business and their life to make money. It was incredible. So while I wanted to teach about, learn about, and talk about general business overall and business concepts and marketing, online marketing, we decided that for our next business venture, it would be best to get into something that we had experience in, we had connections in, but would also help us learn the online marketing world. Now, I had been listening to podcasts and found them very interesting. It was the medium that I most liked to learn. I could probably count on one hand the amount of books in my life that I have read, excluding like 5-page children books. Yes, I'm serious. Don't ask me how I got through high school or even some of college. But I knew I liked to talk. So eventually, after some help from talking to a mentor, you could say, we decided to start our first podcast. And the House Flipping HQ podcast was born. And this was the first time that we began to apply technology and media as points of leverage in our business. Now, just like every business that we had started before, while I continued to think, this time we're going to be able to do it much faster, it took us a good solid 8 months until we got some really good traction in that business. Now, I'm not going to spend much time on this business. I've talked about it several times before, and I want to save time for what came after. But long story short, after 8 years, we ended up selling that business, which we still get paid on to this day. Took some time off, and then shortly after that, we got into our next business venture. Or I should say I got into my next business venture. Tara was working on some other projects at the time, but I started to work with my good friend Trey on helping him grow his agency. It didn't take long for us to realize that doing a bunch of different services for a bunch of different companies wasn't really where we wanted to focus. We ultimately found a couple of other partners, and Trey, being an amazing software developer and one of our other partners, had this idea of taking a product that he had already started but hadn't gotten a lot of traction in, and we created a review automation software company. Points of leverage being this time I would be the one giving the money, Trey would be the one creating the software, and then our other partners would be the ones to market and sell it. Once again, I'm not going to go into a ton of detail here. I kind of talked about some of this on our coaching call last week. The mistake I made in this business was just giving everybody equity and me paying for everything, when in hindsight, both compensation and equity should have been earned, should have been vested based on certain performances, certain tasks done. We eventually cut ways with one of the partners and then held the other one responsible to tasks. We did talk about the potential of losing equity and or compensation unless you reach certain thresholds and certain tasks, to which he did. And we got it to the point to where the company was making $60,000 plus MRR, monthly recurring revenue, every single month. And we were on our way. We believed that before long, we'd be at several $100,000 per month. Long story short, I don't want to play he said, she said, but I do want you to learn from, once again, lessons learned. But we ended up splitting ways with this partner. We had to go through a legal battle, and he ended up taking a bunch of the team with him. And we haven't really put as much time, focus, energy, emphasis on that business since. It's just not really my passion. We're kind of in a spot where I don't need a ton of money. My other partner, Trey, has a lot of other amazing things going on. One business which we've invested in, which is on its way to blowing up and doing amazing things. But we still make a decent monthly recurring revenue from this software product, from this business that we literally spend little to no time on. Trey spends a little time on, I spend no time on. So once again, why do I bring this up? The same idea, points of leverage. I made some pretty big dumb mistakes. You would think I wouldn't have made these mistakes again, but I promise you, I will not make them again in the same way. And the truth is, there could come a point in time when we do find the right person or partner to go and run with that business, but everything takes time, and it's just not where my heart currently is. It's here with Millionaire University. We're loving what we're doing here. It's my true passion. But I do see down the road where that product, where that business, where that service, if you will, could easily fit in to Millionaire University. But what is the lesson learned here? You could start a software business, find a partner to create the software, find a partner or people to sell the software. Maybe that's you. Maybe you're the one selling it. Maybe you just have two of you. Maybe don't be like me. Don't just put in hundreds of thousands of dollars into a business with. Sometimes having money can be a crutch because you use it in ways that you probably shouldn't. But if you know how to develop software, you could be the one developing the software. If you know how and or are willing and want to learn how to sell and market, you could be the one to sell or market the software. Or even better yet, you could white label the services of an already existing software company. And once you build up a client base, you can determine if it makes sense to move them over and build your own software. Once you have a proven repeatable sales model, making you anywhere from $100 to $300 per hour, you can then easily bring on other salespeople, which you can pay anywhere from 25 to 30% of that total amount. And then it's to the moon, baby.
That wraps up part 4 of our Build My Money Machine series. In our final episode, part 5, we'll reveal how all these pieces come together in our current business model and share specific strategies for scaling your own money machine in 2025. Make sure you're subscribed so you don't miss the conclusion of the series. If you found value in these practical business lessons, share the episode with someone who could benefit from building their own money machine. Until next time, keep building your future. Class is dismissed.